Hey everyone, I'm Steve and I'm here to give tips and guidance to help people work towards earning their black belt. In the last video, I covered martial art and dojo selection. This video is about an important skill that you'll need now that you've started at your dojo. That skill is goal setting. In order to be successful as a martial artist, you're going to need to set goals. But before we jump into it, please hit that like button and subscribe so YouTube will know to show these videos to more aspiring martial artists like yourself. Now, where was I? All right. So what is goal setting? Well, goal setting is essentially a planning skill. You make a decision about something you'd like to learn, and then you set a time frame in which you'd like to learn it. In terms of martial arts, an example of one of my regular goals is when my instructor is planning to teach me a new kata, my goal is to try and learn the kata and be able to perform it with reasonable skill within 1 month. When you are thinking of what your goal will be sure to think of these questions. What am I trying to achieve? How much work am I willing to put in? How long will this goal take to reach? What do I need to learn in order to make it happen? Is my goal and time of achievement realistic? Goal setting is a skill that most successful people have. It does not only apply to martial arts. It applies to every industry, every activity, in every country. Goal setting is the key to success. It's so important in martial arts that it can make or break your promotion test. I cannot tell you how many times I sat and judged tests alongside my own masters where the student testing underperformed, did not know their curriculum well enough to perform it well, and ultimately failed simply because they didn't plan ahead. I'm sure you've already met people like this at your dojo. They come to class, goof around, slack off, and coast their way through class. Most people do not become black belts. And while there's a number of reasons for this, the biggest reason is that they do not plan their training and they do not plan for their achievements. They do not set goals for themselves. Don't get me wrong, lots of martial artists with poor planning skills do end up becoming black belts, but that doesn't mean you want to be one of them. Black belts come in all shapes and sizes, and the one thing that separates all of them is skill. Like I said earlier, in order to become a successful black belt, you're going to have to set goals. That's right. Martial artists who set goals for themselves tend to have more skill than those who don't, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So how do you set goals anyway? It sounds complicated, but it really isn't. Think back to those questions that you asked yourself earlier. From those, you should be able to filter out what your goal is. Write down your goal in a place where you'll see it every day. I write mine on the whiteboard on my fridge. This is known as manifesting. You write down your goal in a place where you'll see it every day, and that way it stays fresh in your mind, which will help you make it a reality. Most people use belt rank promotion as their goal, but your goal can be anything. Maybe you want to get better at a certain hand technique or foot technique. Maybe a kata that you're learning is very difficult for you. Or maybe you're having trouble memorizing the verbal questions at your dojo. For our example, let's use belt promotion. The amount of time and work you put into this goal will determine how long it takes for you to achieve it. Set a schedule for yourself of how often you plan to go to class at your dojo and stick to it. Remember when I mentioned that martial artists who set goals tend to have more skill? There's a very good reason for that, and that reason is dedicated practice. If you're serious about following the schedule that you set up, then you're going to have to do something that most martial arts students do not do. Practice at home. Start by setting aside 1 day out of the week in order to review what you've learned at your dojo. It's crucial that you know your curriculum. A good instructor will be very clear with you about what is expected of you at your next promotion test. They will outline everything you need to know and do well before the exam. Your job as a student is to meet this expectation and go beyond it. Become so knowledgeable about your curriculum that you can teach it. If you go above and beyond what is expected of you, your promotion test will be easier simply because of your expertise. Now, everyone is different, and I know that some of you are going to need help making your goals and achieving them. And that brings us to our next question. Should you tell your instructor about your goals? Well, that depends entirely on what kind of teacher you have. Your instructor may have his or her own method for training students. My current teacher promotes an atmosphere at the dojo where it's inappropriate for students to ask when they can test. So I simply show up to class and I practice, and he lets me know when I'm ready to test. My previous instructor was happy to know my goals. I would let him know what I wanted to achieve, and he would work with me to achieve my goals and set a time frame on when we would achieve those goals. With his support, I often ended up testing before my peers, and I also ended up outperforming them at my promotion exams simply because of my own goal setting and because of his support. Taking the initiative and talking to my instructor gave me an edge. Every dojo is different, and every instructor will have their own philosophy when it comes to rank promotion exams. Depending on your rank, weeks or months will go by before the month of your promotion test. As the time of your promotion test arrives, you're going to need to tighten up your goals by revising them and making them more specific. 1 month before your exam, you should know all of your curriculum and be able to perform it under pressure. It doesn't have to be great, but you need to be able to get through it without getting stuck. By tightening your goals, you'll be able to eliminate some of your weaknesses. Perhaps you're having trouble with a difficult step in your kata, or you have a self-defense technique that's just difficult to perform. By setting goals, your path to promotion will be much easier, and your performance will also improve. When your test is over, you're going to need to remember one thing. Goal setting is a continuous process. Once you achieve and get promoted, be prepared to revise your goals again. As you move up in belt rank, more training will be required between tests. This is because the curriculum at each level gets more difficult as you move up. And that's the basics of goal setting. It's a process that you'll revise time and time again while you're on your path towards black belt and beyond. We discussed goal setting in this video and touched on practicing, which brings us to our next topic, how to train. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please give this video a like and subscribe to see more. See you next time.